Good morning, viewers. This morning I want us to go through KCSE 2019, Paper 1, Section A, and I will take you step by step so that you will familiarize with some of the commonly assessed questions in the national examination. If it is your first time to be in this channel, kindly subscribe, turn on the notification bell so that every time I upload a new video, you will be updated. So very fast, we are going to start on our questions. And question number 1, we have a question that read, without using mathematical tables or a calculator, evaluate 5.4 over 0.025 times 3.6. So that is what we are going to evaluate here. So this is our number 1. Number 1, we have 5.4. We have 5.4 over 0.025 multiplied by 3.6. That is what we are expected to solve, and the question is earning you 3 marks. So for us to solve this question without using a mathematical table or a calculator, we are supposed to count the number of decimal places in our denominator, and they are 1, 2, 3, 4. So having 4 decimal places in our denominator, we are going to multiply our number with 10 to power 4 at the numerator and also 10 to power 4 in our denominator. And once we do that, we are going to get 5.4 times 10 to power 4. That is the same as multiplied by 10,000. It is going to give us 54,000 over, then the denominator 0.025 multiplied by 3.6 multiplied by 10,000, it's going to give us 900. The denominator will give us 900. So when we multiply those, this is the same as saying 25 multiplied by 36. It will give us 900. So then when we simplify, we are going to get a 0 will cancel out with a 0 with a 0, then we are left with 540 divided by 9. It will give us 60. And by doing that, we are done with number 1. So that will give you the first mark, that will give you the second mark, and that will give you the accuracy mark. That is number 1. Let's get to number 2. So number 2, our question reads, express 1728 and 2025 in terms of their prime factors, hence evaluate. So we are supposed to express 1728 and 2025 in terms of its prime factors, in terms of its factors, then we evaluate. So how do we express in form of its prime factors? So we are going to do what? We are going to use the factor tree method to factorize. So we have 1728 and we can factorize using the 3-factor method by 2. 1728 divided by 2 will give us 864. 864 divided by 2 will give us 432. 432 divided by 2 will give us 216. 216 divided by 2 will give us 108. 108 divided by 2 will give us 54. 54 divided by 2 will give us 27. 27 is divisible by 3. It will give us a 9. A 9 will give us a 3 and a 3. And then a 3 will give us a 3 and a 1. So we have factorized 1728 in form of its prime factors. And it has given us 1728 is equal to 2 cubic multiplied by 2 cubic multiplied by 3 cubic. Then we also simplify 2025 in the with the product of its factors, and we can do that on our next page. And once we do it on our next page, 2025 we can start with the list, that is 3. 2025 divided by 3, it will give us 675. Then another one by 3, it will give us 225. Then the next one with 3, it will give us 75. Then 75 by 3, it will give us 25. 25 can go with 5. That will give us a 5, and a 5 will give us a 5 and a 1. So 2025 is equal to 3 squared multiplied by 3 squared multiplied by 5 squared. Then our question was reading, hence evaluate. What are we supposed to evaluate? We are supposed to evaluate the cube root of 1728 over the square root of 2025. That is what we are supposed to evaluate. So for us to evaluate that, the product or the factors of 1728, we have been given as 2 cubic times 2 cubic times 3 cubic. 2 cubic, this one is equal to cube root of 2 cubic, that is multiplied by 2 cubic multiplied by 3 cubic over the square root of 3 squared times 3 squared times 5 squared. And by simplifying that one, we are going to get the cube root of the numerator will be 2 times 2 times 3. 2 times 2 is 4. 4 times 3 is 12. It will be 12 over 3. The square root of the denominator is 3 times 3 is 9. 9 times 5 is 45. 12 over 45, which can be simplified further to, this one is divisible by 3, so it can give us 4. And this one is divisible by 3, it will give us 15. So our final answer is equal to 4 over 15. And by doing that, we are done with number 2. Let's get to number 3. Number 3. Now our question number 3 reads, Juma left his home at 8:30 a.m. He drove a distance of 140 kilometers. So we have Juma's home, and he is leaving and driving a distance of 140 kilometers and arrived at his aunt's house at 10:15 a.m. Determine the average speed in kilometers per hour for Juma's journey. So this question is under linear motion, and we are going to do it here. So we have Juma's home. We have Juma's home. Juma's home. And here we have the aunt's home. The aunt's home. And the question is saying he left his home at 8:30 a.m. in the morning. He drove a distance of 140 kilometers and arrived at his aunt's home at 10:15. The arrival time here is 10:15 a.m. 10:15 a.m. So we are supposed to determine the speed. So for us to determine the speed, we all know that speed is equal to distance over time taken. Distance over time taken. And for us to determine the distance, the speed, we need to have our distance, that is 140 kilometers, and also determine our time taken. So for us to find our time taken is equal to arrival time minus departure time. So the time taken was equal to, or is equal to, the 10:15 a.m. minus 8:30, that is the departure time. And when we subtract the two, so it is not possible for us to subtract 15. For us to subtract 30 minutes from 15 minutes, we will borrow 1 hour from 10, and here we will be left with 9. So when we are left with 9 there, this is equal to 60 minutes. So 60 plus 15 is equal to 75. 75, we subtract 30, we are going to get 45. So this is equal to 45, and this is 1. So time taken is 1 hour 45 minutes. That is the same as saying 1.75 of an hour. So for us to determine speed is equal to distance over time taken. And since we have our distance as 140 and our time taken is 1.75 of an hour, and our question is asking determine the average speed. When we work out that one, it's 140 divided by 1.75 of an hour. We are going to get our speed as 80 kilometers per hour. 80 kilometers per hour. And by doing that, you get 3 marks. That question was equal to 3 marks. You are able to get that question correctly. We will proceed to number 4. We have number 4. So number 4 of our question reads, number 4, of our question, it reads, expand and simplify. Expand and simplify. We are supposed to expand and simplify. We have an expression 4 into brackets q plus 6 plus 7 into brackets q minus 3. That question should give us 2 marks. Should give us 2 marks. So for us to expand this simply means opening the bracket. So we are going to open the brackets so that we can expand. So 4 multiplied by q will give us 4q. Then 4 multiplied by 6 will give us a 24. So it will be plus 24. Then plus 7 multiplied by q is 7q. Then minus, why? Positive 7 times minus 3 is equal to negative. So it will be minus 21. Minus 21. So we have already opened our brackets. We have already expanded. So we are now supposed to simplify. So we simplify by putting the right terms together. And when we put the right terms together, we will have 4q plus 7q is equal to 11q. So we have 11q. Then 24 minus 21 is equal to 3. So that will give us plus 3. And by doing that, we are going to get it correct. That will give you the first mark. And this one will give you the accuracy mark. In total, you have 2 marks. We are done with number 4. We will proceed to number 5. Number 5, our question reads that in the trapezium PQRS shown below, PQ is equal to 8 centimeter and SR is equal to 6 centimeters. You can see the diagram clearly. Then the question reads, if the area of the trapezium is 28 centimeters squared, find the perpendicular distance between P, Q, and SR. So quickly, let's draw our diagram. I'm going to draw my diagram here as it has been drawn on our question paper. So it is a trapezium, and this trapezium has been given a name P, Q, R, S. So we have the parallel sides, and SR is equal to 6 centimeter, PQ is equal to 8 centimeters. So that being our trapezium, we have already been given that our area is equal to 28 centimeters squared. 28 centimeters squared. And we are now supposed to determine the perpendicular height. This is our perpendicular distance. This here is our perpendicular distance. This is what we are supposed to determine. So given that, that question will earn you 2 marks. It will earn you 2 marks. And for us to answer that question, we need to understand the formula of finding the area of a trapezium is equal to area is equal to a half into brackets A plus B multiplied by height, where A and B is the sum of the 2 parallel sides. So that means a half multiplied by our A is equal to 6 plus 8, then multiplied by our perpendicular height, we can abbreviate it as H, is equal to 28. So that is what we should do. So this one will give us a half into bracket 6 plus 8 is equal to 14. Close the bracket, H should give us a 28. And by having that, we can proceed it to this other point. A half of 14, that is equal to 7. So we have 7H is equal to 28. And for us to determine the perpendicular distance or our height, we will divide both sides by 7. Both sides by 7 to get our H by 7, 1 by 7, 1. Our H is equal to 4 centimeters. And by doing that, you already have your 2 marks. So we are at question number 5. And we have solved those questions correctly. I believe as you follow up, you also become perfect as we do what we are doing. So we are going to proceed to question number 6. Question number 6, let's do it at this point. Question number 6. And our question number 6 says, given that cube root of 9 to power 4 is equal to 3 to power n, find the value of n. So that question is under what we call indices and logarithms. Indices and logarithms, and it is what we are expected to answer. And so we are going to do that question. Given that cube root of 9 to power 4 is equal to 3 to power n, find the value of n. Find the value of n. So that is number 6. Number 6. And number 6 reads cube root of 9 to power 4 is equal to 3 to power n. Is equal to 3 to power n. Find the value of n. Find the value of n. That question earns you 3 marks. Find the value of n. So what we need to understand is that cube root is the same as saying when we have a number in form of root of n of a is the same as a to power 1 over n. Is the same as a to power 1 over n. Therefore, cube root of 9 to power 4 is the same as saying 9 to power 4 raised to power a third. It is the same as saying that. So we can write this one in form of this one and say 9 to power 4 raised to power a third is equal to 3 to power n. So when we have such, we can multiply the powers because the law of indices allows us to do that. And 9, it is going to give us 9 to power 4 over 3 is equal to 3 to power n. So we can write 9 in power form, or what we call in logarithm form, or in exponent form. It is going to be 3 to power 2 to power 4 over 3 is equal to 3 to power n. So having that, we can continue that in this place, and we are going to have 3 to power 2 times 4 over 3 is going to give us 8 over 3. So it will be 3 to power 8 over 3 is equal to 3 to power n. So having the bases common, we can conclude and say our n is equal to 8 over 3, or 2 whole 2 over 3 can be also equal to 2 and 2 thirds. So that is our n. We are done with that question, and by doing so, you get your 3 marks. You get your 3 marks. We are going to continue to number 7. I will explain number 7 because I'm not in a position to use a geometrical construction here, but I'll take you through number 7, and I believe you are going to do it on your books. So I'll just explain it using a sketch diagram, and I hope you are going to understand. So number 7, we are being given a question here that reads, three villages A, B, and C are such that B is 53 kilometers on a bearing of 295 degrees from A. So we have B, we can say B is here, is on a bearing of 295 degrees. So this is B. It is on a bearing of 295 degrees from A and 53 kilometers. So if we use this scale here, 1 centimeter represents 10 kilometers, If we convert this into centimeters, we are going to get 5.3 centimeters. So a bearing goes in a clockwise direction, and 295 will come around a place here. Because this one is 90, this one is 180, this one is 270. 270, we can measure 25 degrees here, and we can get our A here. We can get our A there. And when we get our A here, measure 5.3 centimeters. 5.3 centimeters. So that is on that bearing. Then we are told LC is 75 kilometers east of B, and C is 75 kilometers east of B. So how do we determine that one? We go to where B is. The east of B is this direction. So we are going to go this direction, 75 kilometers. Then using our scale, we can convert 75 kilometers into centimeters and get 7.5 centimeters. So we are going to measure 7.5 centimeters east of B to get C. 7.5 centimeters. We get C. Then by drawing that, we can join all the towns. So we can later join using a straight ruler. You use a ruler and join A and C together. When you join A and C together, you are going to form a triangle. And by doing that, you get your 2 marks. Because the question is reading, using a scale of 1 centimeter represent 10 kilometers, draw a diagram to show the relative positions of the village A, B, and C. So we are done with that one. We can go to B. That was 7A. So we can now proceed to B. Question B is saying, determine the distance in kilometers of C from A. Of C from A. So of C from A, when you have drawn it accurately, you are going to use your compass, your geometrical compass, or your divider. When you use your divider, measure the distance from A to C in centimeters. Then, using the scale, use the scale. Your scale, remember, is 1 centimeter, represent 10 kilometers. Use your scale to convert the distance from A to C in centimeter to actual scale in kilometers. And by doing that, you are going to arrive at your destination and get the right answer. I have a special class to handle questions on geometrical constructions and bearing, and I believe we are going to understand. So by doing that, you will already arrive at your answer. So I want us to continue to number 8. Let's continue to number 8. Number 8, our question reads, a retailer bought a bag of tea leaves. If the retailer were to repack the tea leaves into smaller packets of either 40 grams, 250 grams, or 350 grams, determine the least mass in grams of the tea leaves in the bag. So the tea leaves were packed into smaller bags of 40 grams, 250 grams, or 350 grams. And we are supposed to determine the least mass. So we are going to find the least common multiple. And by finding the least common multiple, we have determined the least mass. And we are going to find the LCM of 40, 250, and 350. So 40, 250, and 350. And by determining, it's not a must we start with 2. So by 10, we will have 4. By 10, we will have 25. And by 10, we will have 35. Then we can now go to 2. By 2, we are going to have a 2, a 25, and a 35. By 2 again, we will have a 1, a 25, and a 35. Then with a 5, we will have a 1, a 5, and a 7. Another 5, we have a 1, and a 7. And with a 7, we have a 1, and 1. Therefore, the least mass in grams, that is our LCM, will be equal to 10 times 2 squared times 5 squared times 7. And by doing that, when you determine your LCM, you are going to get 10 times 4 times 25 times 7. You are going to get 7,000 grams. 7,000 grams. And by doing that, you will have gotten your 3 marks. You have already determined your least mass in grams. I hope so far we are doing well and we are understanding. I want us to quickly embark on question number 9. Question number 9. So we go to question number 9. So we go to question number 9. So we can go to question number 9. And our question number 9, we have been given that sine 2x is equal to cos 3x minus 10 degrees. Find tan x, correct to 4 significant figures. So we have been given sine, that is number 9. Sine 2x is equal to cos 3x minus 10 degrees. Find tan x. Find tan x, correct to 4 significant figures. That is earning us 3 marks. So for us to determine that one, we need to understand that the sum of the complementary angles adds up to 90. So that simply says that sine of theta, sine of 2x plus cosine of 3x minus 10 degrees, the two angles add up to 1. Therefore, the 2x plus 3x minus 10 degrees, that adds up to 90 degrees. So 2x plus 3x, we open the bracket, then plus minus is minus, so it will be minus 10 degrees is equal to 90 degrees. 2x plus 3x is going to give us 5x is equal to 90 plus 10. When you add 90 plus 10, you are going to get 100. So 5x is equal to 100. For us to get x, we divide both sides by 5, and we are going to get our x as 20 degrees. Having our x as 20 degrees, so tan x is equal to tan 20. And tan 20, using our electronic calculator, we are going to get tan 20 as 0.3640. 0.3640. And by doing that, you are going to get your 3 marks. And we will proceed to number 10. Proceed to number 10. And number 10, a tourist converted, question 10 reads, a tourist converted 5,820 US dollars into Kenyan shillings at a rate of 102.10 per dollar. So we will say if $1, 1 US dollar is equivalent to 102 shillings and 10 cents, what about 5,820 US dollars. We will cross multiply, and when we cross multiply, we will get 5,820 times 102.10 over 1. So he converted dollars into Kenyan shillings. How many Kenyan shillings did he receive? 5,820 multiplied by 102.10, and that is 594,000. That is 594,222. Then the question reads, while in Kenya, he spent 450,000 and converted the balance into dollars at a rate of 103 shillings per dollar. So in Kenya, he spent 450,000. So if he spent 450,000, we are going to subtract to see the balance. And the balance is going to be 594,222 minus 450,000. And our balance will be equal to, when we subtract 450,000, we are going to get 144,000 shillings 222. And by having that, we can now convert the balance into dollars. And we are being told he converted the balance into dollars at a rate of 103 shillings per dollar. So we now convert that into dollar. And what are we going to say? We will say if $1 is equal to 103 shillings and 0 cents, what about 144,000 shillings 222? We convert. And when we cross multiply, we are going to have 144,222 times 1 divided by 103. And when we do that one, when we divide by 103, we are going to get 1,400.2. And our question is calculate the amount of money to the nearest dollar that remained. So to the nearest dollar, it is going to be 1,400 US dollars. And we are done. By doing that, you get your 3 marks. You get your 3 marks. So you get 1,400 US dollars. 1,400 US dollars. We will proceed to number 11. Number 11 says, given that B is equal to 2, 4, that's a column vector, C is equal to 3, 2, and A is equal to 3C minus 2B. Find the magnitude of A, correct to 2 decimal places. Correct to 2 decimal places. So very fast, we have already been given that our A is equal to 3C minus 2B. And being given our A as 3C minus 2B, we need to substitute the vector C and vector B respectively. And we are going to have our A is equal to, our 3C, it will be 3 into brackets. Our C is 3, 2, close the bracket. Then minus 2, our B is 2, 4, close our bracket. Then we open. And how do we open a column vector? We multiply the scalar with all the elements. So 3 times 3 is equal to 9. 3 times 2 is equal to 6. Minus 2 times 2 is equal to 4. 2 times 4 is equal to 8. So for us to get vector A, when we subtract, we get 9 minus 4 is equal to 5. 6 minus 8 is equal to negative 2. So that is our column vector A in form of a column vector. But our question says we need to find the magnitude. And for us to find the magnitude, we know that the magnitude can be represented by that. And that simply says, how do we get it? We get it using what we call the distance formula. And the distance formula is 5 squared plus negative 2 squared. Then we determine the square root. And when we do that, we are going to get our vector A as our magnitude A as 5 squared is 25 plus negative 2 squared is 4. So it is the square root of 29. So the square root of 29 is equal to 25 plus 4. 25 plus 4 is equal to 29. So the square root of 29 is equal to 5.385. But to two decimal places, we are going to have 5.39 units. 5.39 units. And by doing that, you have already gotten your 4 marks. You already have your 4 marks. Your 4 marks. You have your 4 marks already. So number 12 is a construction question. It says using a ruler and a pair of compass only. So let me show you this one. I'm not going to do it for now. I will prepare a lesson on construction, basically on constructions. So this one, I make it pending. I mark it, and we are going to do it later as a lesson online, so that those students who have challenges in construction, you are going to understand. So let's embark on number 13. Number 13 reads solve the inequality. Solve the inequality. Solve the inequality. And the inequality that we are supposed to solve in number 13, it is 2x minus 1 is less than or equal to 3x plus 4 is less than or equal to 7 minus x. And by doing that question, you will have 3 marks. You will have 3 marks. So we are going to hold 2 by 2. So we are going to hold the first 2 and solve them. And we have 2x minus 1 is less than or equal to 3x plus 4. So we will put the right terms together. We can bring 3x on this side and have 2x minus 3x is less than or equal to 4. We take negative 1 on the other side and it will be plus 1. So 2x minus 3x is going to give us negative x is less than or equal to 4 plus 1 is equal to 5. So for us to be left with x, we are going to divide both sides by negative 1. Once you divide with a negative coefficient, your sign changes. If it is less than or equal to, it is going to be greater than or equal to. And 5 divided by negative 1 is equal to negative 5. And by doing that, you have already gotten your first mark. Once you divide with a negative coefficient, your sign changes. If it was less than or equal to, it becomes the opposite, greater than or equal to. So let's continue with our second part. Then we are going to take the last two. We will take that one and that one. That is 3x plus 4 is less than 7 minus x. And we put the right terms together. We are going to bring this on the left hand. So it will be 3x plus x is less than 7 minus 4. And by doing that, we are going to get 3x plus x is going to give us 4x is less than 7 minus 4 will give us a 3. 7 minus 4 will give us a 3. And we are going to get, we divide both sides by 4. By 4, we are going to get our x is less than 3 over 4. Our x is less than 3 over 4. And by doing that, we are going to get our second mark. Our second mark. Then we are supposed to solve the inequality. We have already solved our 2 inequalities. So what is left behind is arranging them in order. And the smallest being negative 5 is less than or equal to x, while x is less than 3 over 4. So we have already solved, and by doing so, you already have your 3 marks. You already have your 3 marks. Quickly, let's proceed to number 14. Let's proceed to number 14. So question number 14, given that A is 2344 and B is 8123, we are being told to find the value of x given that AB is a singular matrix. So we are first going to multiply our AB. So in our solution, we'll first multiply our matrix AB, and our AB is going to be 2344 multiplied by 8123. So for us to multiply a matrix and a matrix, this is a 2 by 2 matrix with a 2 by 2 matrix. So we can multiply because the number of columns of the row matrix is equal to the number of rows of the second matrix. And for us to multiply, we are going to multiply the first row and the first column. So we will multiply the first row and the first column. So 2 multiplied by x will give us 2x. So quickly we will say AB is 2 times x is 2x plus 3 times 2 is 6. Then we are going to multiply the same first row, second column. And we have 2 times 1 is 2 plus 3 times 3 is 9. So 2 plus 9 will give us an 11. Then the second one, we will take the second row and the first column, 4, 4, and x2. So 4 times x will give us 4x, plus 4 times 2 will give us an 8. And then other one is the second row and the second column. 4 times 1 is 4, plus 12, it will give us an 18. 4 plus 12, it will give us a 16. It will give us a 16. And having that matrix, this matrix we are being told is a singular. So this matrix is equal to singular. What does it mean to have a singular matrix? A singular matrix is a matrix whose determination or whose determinant is 0. So if the determinant of this matrix is 0, we are going to find the determinant of AB, and the determinant of AB will be 16 into bracket 2x plus 6 minus 11 into bracket 4x plus 8 is equal to 0. The determinant is 0. So we will have 16 times 2x will give us that 2x